Yeah. Dum da da dum. Hello, fellow 3D printers. I am Jay Wall of Print That Thing, and today we are going to be talking about working with 3D print clients. You know, if you've ever done that, let me know in the chat. Welcome everyone who's come to hang out today. But let's go ahead and dive in. This is one of my favorites and one of my least favorites now, because I used to make a lot of money with working with 3D print design clients, but now I'm trying to kind of morph into a different path. But we're going to talk about, the pros and cons of working with clients, when you should do it, all kinds of different things like that. But first, I wanted to ask you guys and girls out there if you have ever worked with a 3D print client, if you are even interested in working with a 3D print client, and if you're not, why are you intimidated? Are you scared? Are you nervous? So we're going to be talking about all these different things today, just kind of best practices and just kind of tips and things that I've learned along the past few years. So I'm not seeing anyone in the chat, so we're just going to go ahead and dive on in it. Hope everyone is good out there. We're going early today because we are traveling for, the holidays, Thanksgiving. So hopefully everyone has lots of gratitude and just thankfulness tomorrow and eats a lot of good food. So let's go ahead and dive into the sponsor, which is my company, Print That Thing. So we are PTT.LIVE, and we help people transform into 3D print designers through monthly courses and workshops and just communities. So you can join if you want to become a member and start learning 3D print design. Just use the coupon code PODCASTLOVE, all one word, and that will get you a huge discount for your first entire year. So that's kind of a little Black Friday thing that's happening. So hopefully, that'll get you going if you want to. But let's go ahead and dive into the actual meat and potatoes. What we're all here for is, how do we work with clients? What do we do? So, I just ripped my headphones out of my head. All right, I'm back. But let me check in the chat and make sure I'm not seeing anyone. But I know one time we went live, it kind of like people couldn't get in the chat, so I don't know. We'll see it. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me out there. But if not, let's just go into the topics. So these are some of the things that I've learned while working with 3D print clients. But really the first and foremost is getting noticed and just getting a client. That is, hey, what's up, Gruder47? Yes. Magruder is one of my best friends since third grade. We've been bros since third grade. We're on the same basketball team. Swoosh. But yeah, thanks for coming to say hey, Gruder. But the first thing is just finding a client, so someone who actually wants to collaborate with you. I would suggest people that are entrepreneurially minded, or thinking about maybe selling or creating a product to sell, because those are the people that are usually going to pay higher premium prices for your super power of 3D print design. So that's what I would suggest. You are going to get people, you will run into people that are just like, hey, can you make me something for $20? Please do not work with those people. You can if you want to, if you're just starting out, but I would suggest, over time, learning how to kind of weed out those people and only work with people that are serious and really want to make something really cool. So that is the first kind of thing. And once you find these people, maybe at entrepreneur centers or just people in your neighborhood or just in your network, once you find them, it's just listening to them. That's the most important. It's just asking a bunch of questions and just getting as much information from them, whether it's through email. It'll probably start with just emails. They'll message you and be like, hey, can you make me something? And then you'll be like, yeah. And usually what I'll ask is just two questions. What is your timeline? And what is your budget? If they can answer those two questions, they're probably worth working with. But if they're like, oh, I don't know, or they don't want to say, or they say like, I got $20, then you're like, hey, you are much more than that. So, they may want to start looking other places. That way you're not wasting anybody's time, and you're kind of setting up that initially. So once you kind of just listen to them, get as much information about the project, but really what you're trying to listen to is, pre-screen them. Thanks, Indy Mutt. So you're just trying to, make sure this is someone you want to work with, a project you may be excited about, and actually creating, or something that you could be really good at helping this person. So once you kind of are listening to them, you're just listening for the one thing, and that is the problem. they're going to have some kind of problem that they need solved. And that is what you, the designer, the 3D print designer, is essentially going to be charging for. So if someone comes to me, like I had a client who wanted to make little dog bone for her. She had like a doll set or something. So she wanted me to make like this little dog bone and put her company name in there. I was like, okay, cool. So that was her problem. You know, she needed a little bone, little thing to go into kind of a little set she was building. So back in the day, I would charge people on the hour. So I would charge them anywhere from like $75 to $100 an hour for 3D print design. What's up, 3D with us? Yes. Hey, dude. It's great to see you, Max. And maybe your lover lady's there. I'm not sure. But hello, both of y'all. But I was trying to think of what I was saying. So, oh, yes. So before I used to charge hourly, which is great when you're first starting out. And I would highly recommend just getting, paid something. Even if it's your first design project, you could say, if someone's like, hey, can you make me something? You could charge $5 or $10. But I want you to get in the habit of, being able to be comfortable charging for your superpower, which is 3D print design. So it is awkward at first, but the more you do it, the more you try, then the better you'll get at it. So what I used to do is do hourly. So I would charge an hourly, and I would try to guesstimate, how long is the design process going to take. And you're usually wrong. It's usually twice as long as you think. But now I've kind of morphed into a new frame of mind, and I want you all to kind of just listen, hear what y'all think about this as well, is instead of charging by the hour, then instead trying to just charge for the problem being solved. And so that way you can design really fast. You could solve somebody's problem within a few hours, but still get paid thousands of dollars for solving this problem. So I don't know, I was just going to get y'all's feedback from that. I know that's kind of a different way of thinking about it, but an example of this is I had a project for a client who wanted me to make a hat for them. We won't go into the details, but they wanted me to make a hat for them. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I love hats, so I was super excited. And they had budget and everything like that. So let's see. I was going to charge like $200 or $300 because I was like, it's only going to take me like 3 hours to do it. But the reason it's going to only take me 3 hours to do it is because I've been training myself for 5 years and, been in this industry. So really the client is actually paying for all of that knowledge that you're going to be, helping them with. So instead of charging them $400, which is what I was telling Amber, she was like, no, we should charge, more because it's a lot. And so when I started thinking about it from that angle, it's like, oh yes. So really the client, when you're talking to them, the only thing they really care about, most people only care about the end result, what they're actually going to end up with. So my email to her was like, hey, I would love to work with this project. This sounds amazing. By the end of working together or collaborating, you will have a fully 3D printable design that you can do anything you want with. And then you'll also have a physical 3D printed prototype that you can hold, wear, take pictures of, all that. So that's what I knew that she really wanted. And then, just pitched her the solution and then told her the actual, like the premium price, which would be thousands of dollars. So when I gave it to that, she was like, this is awesome. This sounds great. And then we went into legal and all that. But I just want to kind of get you in the habit of just trying to listen as best you can and then charge for the solution. That's going to be pretty cool. So next is, okay, so now you've spoken with the design or the client. You guys want to work together. You've kind of talked about budget and timing and all these different things like that. Now you want to make some type of legal agreement or just a work contract. So you may want to talk to your lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, so you need to Google or find some information. What we did is we had a film production company, Amber and I. So we just took that contract and kind of tweaked it for 3D print design. But essentially, you want to cover timeline, the person's name. Yes, Amber saying, just get the contract, get it in writing, because you never know if people are going to change their mind or if they don't remember things that they said. So you just want to make sure that you and the client are on the exact same page as much as possible, even if it seems like you're giving too much information or being too detailed. The more detailed you can be, the better. But you just want to do the cover the intellectual property. Who's going to own the file once you're complete? Do you get it? Do they get it? Is it a 50-50 split? All that, you can talk about that in the work agreement. You can talk about timeline. How long is it going to take the designer to create this thing? And you have a date, so everyone knows the same page that should be completed by this date. The budget, how much they're going to pay, and who is going to cover any expenses if there are any like materials and things like that. So as far as budget, usually what I would recommend is not working until the client has actually put down like a 50% deposit. So if you charge them $1,000, I wouldn't start working with the client unless they've actually paid that $500 starting fee. Not a starting fee, but just 50% of the approved price that you guys have agreed on. So I would strongly recommend that. And so usually what I'll say to clients is when they email me, I'll say, this all looks great. We're super excited to work with you. I'll send over my work agreement. And once the 50% of the payment is posted, we'll begin designing. And usually that goes pretty smooth. Feel free to change or do anything as you want, but that's kind of the natural flow that happens to me, it seems like, every time. So the next one, and hopefully, I know there's a lot of information, and you guys may not even be interested in working with clients, but it is another avenue for working as a 3D print designer. And I used to think this was the only way, but now as I'm getting older and doing more, I think I want to migrate out of this so you're not actually depending on a client. But we're going to talk about that next week. Well, I just ripped out my thing again. I'm just so animated talking with my hands today. But so let's go ahead into the next part, which is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of working with clients, is under promise and over deliver. So this is some things that I learned while working in film school. But anytime you think you're going to start a project with a client, you always want to make sure, or you want to realize it. Like if you're thinking to yourself, like, oh, I could probably make this design here for it'd probably take me 10 hours. In reality, it's probably going to take you 20 hours. So just go ahead and assume it's going to take you twice as long as you think, because it probably will, especially when you're first starting out, until you do more and more and more of it. So I would definitely recommend that. And then the next part, over deliver. Now you want to blow their mind. So if you think you can get it done in 2 weeks, say, I can probably finish this completely in 4 weeks. And then if you finish it in 2 weeks, now you've blown their mind. You've gotten them what they wanted even faster, and they're super excited. So that's going to be very helpful. You don't late for things. They're not going to be happy about that. So now is just the time, and the most fun part of the process is really collaborating with these people and making them feel as much a part of the creation process as possible. That's very, very, very critical, is just create with them. So just, send them photos or videos. But I guess really in the beginning, you have to kind of like get your idea kind of fleshed out. But you want them essentially to feel as they are as part of it as much as possible. And you're going to be creating the correct or the desired result, the solution to their problem, is what you're going to try and kind of merge that and create that with them. But really you're doing most of the heavy lifting because you're the 3D print designer, but definitely makes them feel heard and feel like they're into it. And some clients may not want that at all, but the ones I've worked with have been like, oh, this is so cool. They feel like they're creating some kind of futuristic product, which they are. Immigrator, now you have 2 weeks to chill. Exactly. So, it's just a helpful practice that I learned the hard way. So definitely try that. And then, whenever I'm working with clients, usually we do a 2 round of notes. So essentially they get 3 drafts of your prototype, whatever you're trying to solve for them. So I would suggest getting quick feedback as fast as you can to make sure you're really going down the right rabbit hole as far as the design. And then use sites like Sketchfab. They're kind of like a site where you can upload a 3D design, and then the client can look at it on their phone and spin it around. You can password protect it, so it feels very private and very professional, and they can look at the design and go, oh, I really like how you did this here, or what if we made that part more round? And you're like, oh yeah, that's great. That would be so cool. Or you could explain, why you can't do that. So it's very collaborative in that sense. If you're working with people that are in the same building or with you, then actually maybe you want to print out like small prototypes, that you can kind of show the idea and they can hold it and touch it. Like that would be even better if you have that case. But you can do it all digitally. Usually I don't print anything until we've gone through these 2 rounds of notes and we're 100% like, this is the design and this is like this is what they want it to be. So that is kind of the process that I go through. And then once you've gotten your 3 rounds of notes, and that could take 2 days, it could take, 2 weeks. It just depends on how large the project is. So, get the quick feedback. Use sketchfab.com for like, remote viewing. And then we come into the trickiest and kind of optional part of the process, which is, once you've gotten the design approved, everybody's happy, everyone likes the way it looks cool. Now, if it's what you agreed on, you can actually go into the process of 3D printing a prototype. And you could do this many ways. You could do it by actually 3D printing it at your own, with your own 3D printer, or you could send it off to sites like Shapeways or Materialize and get like a high quality. But they would charge you, more of a premium price for that. So I notice when I'm working with clients, one of the most common things is you can almost, hey, what's up, Sten? No, sorry, I'm early. Sten has been here almost every week. So thanks, Sten. Thanks for jumping in. But what was I saying? Sorry, Sten threw me off. No, yeah, so sometimes when you're working with clients, you may print their prototype for them. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes they just want the file and they're going to use that digital file to, do something with that. So it really just depends on the initial meeting that you had, kind of like phase 2 and getting all of the details sorted out. But it's kind of hard to quote someone a price when the item doesn't exist, so if they're like, hey, I want to make this new cool creative item, and then how much is it going to cost to print? You're like, I don't know, because we haven't made it yet. So you could almost treat the printing as a separate contract where, the first phase is just, let's just get the design and then you can pay for the design. Or you could add that in. It just depends on how you want to work with a client. So I've done both, but really just depends. So get that kind of etched out maybe beforehand. And then some things what I've done too is just kind of, I'll know the general size of an object, as just from talking to the client. And then you can just kind of throw that in your slicer or find an object online that's kind of similar in size. And that will kind of give you a ballpark estimate that you can kind of gauge, how big is this project going to be to actually 3D print. But yeah, or you can just lump it all together. I mean, it really just depends on your style. So that's all my tips for today is just, listen for the problem and then charge for the actual solution because people only care about the end result. Create some kind of agreement doc, just get it in writing somehow through email, through agreements. Usually I have them sign and date and all that, but it's up to you. And then under promise and over deliver. So, that way you always come out looking like a great design hero. And then you want to get at least 2 rounds of notes. So that way the client can know that they're getting what they want. It's not like, hey, here, it's done. And they're like, but I wanted to, so you want to make sure that there's a flow back and forth, but you also don't want them to take advantage of you. So having the 2 rounds of notes stops it. Like if they want to continue, then that would be an additional, charge for going into more rounds of notes. So that is a very helpful tip. And then the last one, which is print the prototype and close out the deal and get some feedback if you can. If you can get some type of testimonial or some kind of anything that you can use to get future clients. So if you enjoyed, just talking about 3D print design, this is super nerdy. I know it's like 2 of the nerdiest things combined. But if you enjoy talking about monetizing your 3D print design, then feel free to subscribe or join our Discord, or you can become a member at PTT.LIVE. And we'll kind of notify you when we go live. We'll have new courses coming out every month, new designs coming out every month. So a lot of fun stuff. And you can just meet people all around the globe. But yeah, so really my main challenge for you today. What's up, the Pying? Oh, okay. We got a question. What about customers who believe that computer make the designs with just one button? I mean, that's probably what's going to happen eventually. But I guess you probably just don't want to work with those people. Usually, if people think, hey, it's just easy, you know, all you got to do is just push the buttons. And I'm like, hey, yeah, you can do it. Or, hey, you want to learn? I have a free course on my website, and they can learn how to do it. But yeah, there will be those people that are just like, think it's easy. So it's really not. So if you do know 3D print design, congrats, you have a superpower. Please use it wisely and, get paid for it if you've learned it. So that's really, but the challenge, as I was saying, was to think about the possibility of 3D print designing for a client. How could you help someone with your skills, with your, designing superpowers to help them solve a problem? And it's very fun. It's super rewarding. It can be stressful, but it really is so much fun, like blowing somebody's mind with this futuristic skill. So I highly recommend it, even if you just want to try it out for a little while. But next week, we're kind of starting a new series, ish, but it's the 3D print on demand. So this is kind of where I want, where I want to get away from working for clients and start working for myself. And I want to teach you guys and girls how to do it too. So that's what we're going to be talking about probably for the next few months, is 3D print on demand. And I have no clue how to do it. I know that it's super possible, but so we're just going to go over all the different peaks and valleys, the highs and lows of me trying to figure out this new for me type of print on demand series. So if you're interested in that, I think this is going to be super fun and crazy. So let's figure it out together. If you want to learn that, that's what we're going to be talking about. But let's go ahead and open it up for Q&A. Does anyone have any questions that I didn't just cover at all about working for 3D print clients? Let me know in the chat. And do remember to use PTT.LIVE, all one word, if you do want to start learning some courses. But yeah, so we got 3D Jason and Amber. Nice to hear from you. Have a good run. Great podcast live stream. Yeah, thanks 3D. Thanks, Max. Natalia, both of y'all. So I'm not seeing many comments coming in. I know there's about a 10-second delay, so we'll give it a few more moments. But yeah, if you have any questions, any thoughts, let me know. You can also, we got something Stin. I've only done designing and printing or only printing. They can design, but don't have a printer. Wait, what are you talking? Rephrase that. Is that a question, Stin? I've only done designing and printing or only printing. If they can design but don't. Oh, yeah. So kind of like 3D hubs. Yes, so that's kind of how I started too. And then I was like, oh, wait, I can just design my own things. And you can make a lot. I mean, that's really the most cost effective or the biggest way to make, hundreds or thousands of dollars every month is working with clients. It does take a lot of energy and, to do it. But if you love it and want to do it, then by all means, go ahead and do it. And yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if that helped at all, Shen. I think you were just telling me how you print. But yeah. So Shen, my challenge to you is to see if you could help someone with your 3D print design skills and get paid for it. You got the skills to pay your bills. All right, we got a question. Indy Mutt, so do you do a design contract and then a printing contract? Yes, you can. It's totally up to you. You could combine them if you want into one complex document. That's totally fine. And that way, I mean, that would simplify it for the client. They would just pay one price and they know they're going to get a design and a print. So you could totally do that. That's what I did on the last contract. And then, or you could say, hey, man, since we don't have the actual object, or lady, ma'am, since we don't have the actual object, I can't really give you a correct estimate for your design. So why don't we just, start the design and we'll finish and make sure the design is perfect and exactly the way you want it. Then we'll close that and then we'll go into all the different options that you have for 3D printing. And so they may be interested in that too. It really just depends on the person. And they're all different. So really that goes just back to listening and really hearing them about what they really, really want. And it's usually just 1 to 2 things at its core. Let's see. Stin, I mean, I've not done only designing, but I've done designing and printing. Gotcha. For a client. Okay. Gotcha. Well, cool. Yeah. So let's see how long we've been going today. 25 minutes. That's pretty good. Okay, we got another question. Do you design copywritten products? Oh my gosh, that's a great. We could have a whole podcast on this. But Inima asked, do you design copywritten products? I don't design copywritten products. Like if someone came to me and was like, hey, can you make me a baby Yoda and then I'm going to sell it? I'd be like, I'm not your guy. No, thank you. I'm looking for original ideas. That's what I would strongly suggest is, create new ideas, fresh ideas. Don't try and copy off people because that's just a quick way that you could get sued. Hopefully that answered your questions. Indy Mutt. Stin, why are you so early today? I'm so early because we're hanging out with family. So this week I'm, trying to spend a lot more family time. So we're actually going to go hang out with some family here in the next few minutes, actually. So that's why. But I appreciate y'all coming in and saying, hey, today. This is great. I'm just trying to build a great habit of going live every week. So today I wasn't going to be able to do it. So we went early instead. But yeah, well, that's all I got for y'all this week. Again, try and learn 3D. Try and push yourself out of your comfort zone. If you want to try and start learning for clients, let's go ahead and do it. If not, let's go to the next week's topic, which is 3D print on demand, which I think is going to be way more fun and cool and freeing. But they're all great. They're all good. They all have their pros and cons, just like everything in life. But I just wanted to kind of talk about that today. All right, later, everybody. Hope y'all have a good holiday if you're celebrating Thanksgiving. And we'll see y'all next week. All right, later. Peace. Later, Stin. Thanks, everyone, for coming to hang.